The Romanesque period was well known for its large-scale buildings due to an influx in the amount of people traveling. Pilgrimages and crusades helped to reinforce the importance of religion as well as create a need for larger and better churches so more people would be able and inclined to visit them. One common theme which many churches stressed was that of the Last Judgment. Churches wanted people to be aware of the punishment they would receive if they were bad, in contrast to the salvation if they were good. In addition to the churches, manuscripts and tapestries were also beginning to flourish. The Church of St. Vincent's, located in the Castle of Cardona, which is in Spain. It's commonly referred to as the first Romanesque church, basically setting the standards for all future churches. This particular one features two apses with a low crossing tower, thus creating a wide nave and narrower side aisles. This led to a stepped outline that came to be called the Benedictine plan. This church was fully built of stone masonry, which made for a sturdy, practical, and fireproof building. Strip buttresses were then added to help strengthen the walls and vaults. Bands of masonry were then continued to the insides of the church, creating compound piers and transverse arches. These became an essential element in Romanesque architecture. The Cathedral of St. James is interesting in the fact that it holds the body of St. James the Apostle. It's more commonly known of as the Pilgrimage Church, being that it's the last church on a pilgrim's journey. It's designed to accommodate large amount of people through functional planning and traffic control. Aisle transepts with chapels leading into an ambulatory with even more chapels around the apse allowed worshippers to move freely around the church without disrupting services at the high altar. Enough light comes through the clerestory that it floods the sanctuary and draws people towards the shrines. Many techniques are used, such as barrel, groin, and half vaults, to support the structure. This particular one is made out of a local granite, which is weathered to a golden brownish gray hue. During its prime, it was admired for the beauty and flawless construction. Originally a small wooden barn-like structure which had to be rebuilt 3 times, the abbey at Cluny became the largest church in Europe. Cluny was considered a city unto itself, housing around 200 monks, in addition to troops of laymen, which they depended on for marital support. When the monks were not involved in services, they were often out studying or creating crafts such as manuscripts. Cluny held both the relics of St. Peter and St. Paul, which the monks had acquired. This church has a 3-part elevation with compound piers, pilasters, and engaged columns that support pointed arches, which direct the weight of the building downwards faster. The church was eventually sold and used as a stone quarry, but is now an archaeological park. In Gilbertus' Last Judgment, Christ returns to judge the cowering naked human souls. This particular one is less balanced, as Christ dominates the image, and figures are arranged in a form or sporadic pattern, bent at sharp angles, which are powerfully expressive. These figures convey a sense of terrifying urgency as Christ approaches. Angels trumpet the Last Judgment, while others help bring the souls from the grave. Michael competes with the devils for souls, being weighed on a scale, while another angel helps a soul into heaven. The crucifix, also known as Christ on the cross, is a painted wooden sculpture. Churches on limited funds often commission wooden sculptures since they are very cheap and lightweight. Christ in a robe, rather than naked, suggests a Byzantine influence, which also emphasizes his kingship. He also has a worn appearance, showing deep sadness, but he is still regarded as a very powerful figure. Virgin and Child, also known as the Throne of Wisdom, features Mary seated on a throne, holding Christ. It is a well-preserved, painted wooden sculpture. Both Mary and the Child are sitting in a frontal, rigid, and regal pose. Mary's bench symbolizes the throne-like bench of Solomon. It is also assumed that Jesus held a book to represent the Word of God. The ApAH tapestry is a 230-foot-long embroidered cloth, which depicts the events leading up to the Norman conquest of England, as well as the events of the invasion itself. The tapestry uses 2 methods of stitching. First, an outline or stem stitch, which is for the lettering in the outlines of the figures. And the second is a couching or laid work used for filling in the figures. An interesting fact is that 2 of the panels have believed to have gone missing. Historians believe this would have shown William's coronation as well as the coronation as King of England. The Mouth of Hell, also known as the Hell Mouth, is part of the Winchester Psalter. This was commissioned by the king's brother. This piece features many entangled bodies of sinners, some of which are kings, queens, monks, and clergymen. Horned devils torment the souls, while a very elongated angel locks the door. The intricate interlocking figures are carefully framed with a vicious energy. However, the page seems to be dominated by an ornamental design around the outside.